All right, everybody, and welcome back to the 9 Years podcast. Nick Draper, joined as always by the faceless BBC Sports website, Mr. Stuart Deakins, arriving late.
Sounding great.
Bit different for us, this one, coming on a Monday, but we got a bit delayed, that's all. And you know what, we didn't have a game on the Saturday, so we thought, no, we can delay it, of course we can, and we can give you a more up-to-date preview of the trip to Exeter on Tuesday night, which we will be doing. But we will, of course, be looking back at the draw with Huddersfield, which seems a long time ago now, but last Saturday, if that is a thing, plus all the usual, including Richard Osman Foyo's House of Games. It continues to be called that, despite news about a further suspension for Osman that broke last week, and we'll touch on that subject as well. We've got FA Cup to talk about. We'll look around the third tier as we always do. But Stu, just before we start recording, we very quickly touched on the subject of Mo Salah. This is quite random. We all know that I don't follow the Premier League. I've got no time for it. I'm incandescent with rage because about an hour ago, I started watching the BBC News, and Mo Salah not playing for Liverpool was a lead story on the BBC News at 6. What has the world come to? This is where you see those things on social media sometimes. You say, what's a scam that's become so normalised we don't notice? I kind of feel like football as a whole is that thing. Because why on earth is this a lead story on the BBC News? They do realise that not even the majority, the overwhelming majority of the population do not give a fuck about Mo Salah. And I'm not just talking about Liverpool and Mo Salah. I'm talking about majority of the population, believe it or not, don't actually watch football. More people do not watch football in this country than do watch football in this country. It lead story on the BBC News. Lost, I keep saying it, everyone's completely lost perspective on football. Complete insanity. Someone might drop in bread and circuses at this point. I don't think they're far off the truth on that one.
It was breaking news as well at some point. It was after the 3-3 draw with Leeds. Joel, there's one camera angle of Mo Salah talks. I think it was they did like there was loads of press on the same interview, just doing like a pool interview, and the Liverpool's media person was standing just behind Mo Salah, and you could see when he started saying about I'm being thrown under the bus, you could just see him putting his hand over his eyes as if like, what are you saying? Obviously, he had no way of stopping him. But it's interesting. Apparently, Mo Salah only speaks to the press when he wants to, or when he wants a new deal, or when he wants to say that he's being treated with lack of respect. I wish I could do that for 400 grand a week.
I will swap places with him for that salary. Well, I might not actually, to be fair, because then I'd have to, probably not. But yeah, I had to just pick up on one thing. Did you say a porn interview?
Paula.
Oh, right. Okay.
I think they call it like not like a pack interview or stuff like that. It's basically when they all pick up the same sort of, because I remember Toby, who is our head of comms at Wimbledon. He was with Palace previously, and I was talking to him about it, and he said like for their European competitions, they had to actually, Selhurst Park wasn't big enough to deal with the amount of press that want interviews before a European game, and they had to actually set up a new press room at their training ground to deal with the press conferences, because the amount of media that want interviews with the manager and stuff is just astronomical. It's just wow. Whereas us at Wimbledon, we'd probably get a local BBC London, maybe a Radio 5, and then maybe Radio Jackie. But yeah, a bit different in the Premier League, isn't it?
Unless there's an international weekend and there are photographers from around the country that've got nothing better to do, and instead of just taking a week off, they just go, just send them all down to Wimbledon. They can all go down there. Can't remember if it's the Burton Albion game, maybe.
Do you know what I still remember, though, is when we were in the Premier League at Selhurst, I still remember whenever we played, there'd be loads of photographers, and then depending on where the opposition were shooting, they would all move behind that goal. Especially Manchester United. You literally have one person behind the goal we were attacking, and the rest were just behind the Man United goal. Yeah.
You're bringing back many memories for me, Stu, of Selhurst Park and Richardson Evans, because you said training ground, and my head went Crystal Palace, Selhurst Park, training ground, Richardson Evans. But crazy how times have changed, as you say. Richard Stebbins used to just be able to wander down there and watch them train. This is a Premier League team. And
Yeah.
recently we were talking about the merchandise that is now on sale in Ely's in Wimbledon. And isn't it mental to think that we were a Premier League club? And I know people said, oh, we did have like a shelf in there at some point or whatever. I do vaguely remember this, but that was it. There was no presence in the town centre. Whereas now, I know we were a small club, we didn't have a home ground, whatever. But now the thought of a club being in the Premier League and there not being any sort of reference to it, and this is what I mean, maybe I think this is where football's kind of lost its head a little bit and lost cool perspective. It was probably better in our day, but it was crazy to think that, and there was no monetizing of it or anything like that in the local area. Just what strange times they were.
I'm probably going well off topic at the moment, but talking about Premier League clubs, I was looking. I'm guessing you've seen the Padded Seat YouTube channel where they
No.
do. So the Padded Seat is where these two guys go around anywhere. So they've been into America, been around the Premier League, non-league, and they sample hospitality at the clubs. And the one I watched on the weekend was they went to the Hill Dixon Stadium at Everton. Wow, like the luxury was just out of this world. In this, like, don't get me wrong, the lounges are all the same, aren't they? You get a four-course meal and all that sort of stuff. But when they went and sat in their seat, they had a padded seat with a USB connection. They also had a heating button, and then this just tops it off. It was also a recliner as well. Oh, and they had a TV screen in front of them to watch the replays. Like, I think it was the 1,200 quid, I think, for the game. But you know, you just think like that is luxury. Like, can you imagine some of the days we used to have in the Premier League, right? Like going the way to Bolton, Burnden Park, and stuff like that, and then them saying, "Oh, do you know what? You can sit in luxury." There was no luck. The most luxury you had at that ground was actually having a seat. That was the luxury item.
It
But
used to be a
yeah,
working man's game.
if you ever get a chance to watch it, they do America and stuff like that, and it's. They also did a non-league side, which I think is really good. Some of the non-league packages they're charging 60 quid, and you can basically go and meet the director and have a tour around the ground. They do so many different levels. But yeah, the new stadiums, like I say, when I saw it reclined, I'm like, mate, that is just luxury galore.
We were ahead of the game on that one, Stu, because if you remember, uh, around 2017, 2018, we had reclining seats for the players, and Liam Trotter would often be found in the centre circle, reclining in his seat, doing absolute bugger all. There is more
I,
I want to say about this, I must admit, because actually I was going to come onto a similar vein on some of the things you've raised there, but a bit later on in the show. We might save it for now. But doesn't it show, like I say, used to be a working man's game, Stu. And this FA Cup, like you say, the non-league, see lots of non-league teams on TV this weekend with the FA Cup, proper stadiums, proper terraces. Selhurst Park used to have a proper terrace behind the goal. Better days. None of this heated seat malarkey. What's that about?
well, hey, look, when I do a tour, when I do my stadium tours, I do always say have a sit on the padded seat. We haven't got them heated yet. I never even thought about the fact of a USB connect, charger and a recliner. Like, wow. But I did recall a story. We were talking about dugouts when I had my tour on Tuesday, and we were talking about dugouts. And I said, they're not really dugouts nowadays, but like the old style when you had the old plastic around them and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
Which reminded me of Kings Meadow when we first went to Kings Meadow. And do you remember they were on the main stand side, and we had home fans just hanging on the back of the.
Yeah.
Oh, I loved it. But that's when you think about Kings Meadow. You think about Kings Meadow when we actually went there.
Mm.
And then when we left and the changes. Oh dear. I think, do you know what? I'd love to just go back just for one season, just for one game there. Do you know what I mean? And what it was like, because it was, yeah, open terrace.
Do you know what? I would love to go back and revisit Kingsmeadow as it was when we first moved there in 2002. And as you say, yes, very different by the time we left. But at the time, Kingsmeadow, don't forget, was luxury. When we had a home game, you had an elevated view behind the goal. You didn't get this anywhere else. You didn't get this at pitch side at Hartley Whitney or Cove or Merstham or anything like that. Yeah,
You could even watch the Athletics, because when the Athletics
yes,
then didn't have the roof, if the
yeah,
game got boring or we're winning 4 or 5-0, we just turn around. But then the problem was when they done a starter gun, we'd all duck.
yeah. Started blaming Harvey.
Yeah, shoot.
Great days they were.
Oh dear, they're the
Mm.
days.
Yes, well, we didn't have too bad a day in the end away at Huddersfield. What, 8 days ago now? 9 days ago now? Depends how you do your maths, I suppose. Travelled up to Huddersfield, never been there before, to the, I don't know what it's called now,
That
Stu.
surprised me when I didn't realise you hadn't been there before.
Well, the last time we'd been there was in, like we said, it's near 2000,
Yeah,
and it was a midweek game, and I was doing my A levels at the time. I think I was very young doing my A levels in the year 2000. I was only 6. I was a child genius, but I could not make it, unfortunately. And I remember watching the game on TV. I remember we won 2-0. But yeah, no, and then we've never been there. We've not played Huddersfield since. We played them
no,
obviously at home at Selhurst Park later that season, but that was the last time we did. So yes, I managed to go up there. Do you know, went up there on the train, very easy journey, changed. Guess where I changed, Stu?
franchise.
No, no, no. It wasn't there. No, it wasn't Chester either. It was Leeds. And
Leeds,
never
Leeds.
been to Leeds, Leeds, Leeds. Leeds seems a perfectly nice city, to be honest with you. I'm quite impressed with Leeds.
Yeah, I've been to
Closed
Chile.
around.
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, no. Well, I went a
Not
bit
not
further
just went to
afield.
not just went to a train station, but I didn't just travel to Leeds to a train station. By the way, my wife had their beginning of year piss up basically in a hotel just outside Leeds.
Right. Okay. Fair
Lovely,
enough. Yes.
lovely
Yeah.
place, Leeds.
It was very nice. I was very impressed. And then Huddersfield as well. Quite a nice little town, sort of standard English town. I would say if I was to review Huddersfield, I would put it in not one of the worst places I've been to. So I think that is high praise indeed. But I have to say, Huddersfield, okay, one of those new stadiums, it's like 30 years old or whatever. So, all seater and all this nonsense. So, yeah, all looks pretty much all the same way around. Advertising, digital boardings. But anyway, but besides all that, it was actually one of the better ones because it was so easy to get to. Beautiful surroundings with the trees in the background. Very, very nice surrounding the stadium and a very easy short walk from the station. So you know what I mean? It's not like one of these completely out in the middle of nowhere retail park stadiums. It's
Yeah,
nice, it's close to the town centre. And yeah, do you know what? It was a good day because we got a point, but I'm not entirely sure how when we look back on it somehow. A quite incredible game, especially in the second half. Like first half, they really turned the screw on us. And Nathan Bishop had to make many saves, and they hit the bar, and we were on the back, lots of last ditch defending and tackles, and da da da
yeah,
da. And when we got the goal on the counter attack, second half, we scored twice. But and we will come on to Orsi and Sasso as well because we've got some to talk about. But blimey, it felt like I was just watching Huddersfield come towards our goal for the entirety of the second half, and then somehow 2 opportunities, 2 goals. They're crazy, crazy football sometimes.
yeah. I think, Joe. I think we for that game. I think we went back to basics. So obviously, for Wigan, we seem to try and change the formation, which is just not what Johnny Jackson does. We know he doesn't change from his 3-5-2 or 5-3-2. And it felt like we went back to being resilient. Yes, we conceded 3 goals, but you're right. The amount of shots, I think Huddersfield had in the region of 25 shots.
Yeah,
I can't remember how many on target. But yeah, they dominated the ball. Leo Carstein in midfield.
yeah,
Thing is, we need to make sure he looks good because we need him to be sold from Chelsea because we can get. I've got no doubt we've got a sell-on percentage for
mm,
him. So not surprised he's doing so well. But yeah, they kick the ball very well. But I think they're also a team that I think their fans are a little bit. We were just talking before we started recording about fans being entitled. I think Huddersfield might have that, obviously being in the Premier League and in the Championship and now being in League One. I think they are very quick to get on the back of their team if they don't score early. And I think the more we stayed in the game, that helped us in the first half. Of course, the second half was just a case of us being totally reliant on set plays.
yeah.
And every time they scored, we scored, which is the bit. If you can't defend or you're struggling to defend, the best thing to do is go and score, which is what we did. And to get 3 goals and get a draw from there, I think is a great result.
It was a really, really good point, especially after the run of defeats we'd had. Again, just shows that the team spirit and the work ethic of the squad is really, really high, and that comes across in the performance we put in. It's pretty much as close to the old Wimbledon as we've ever been, I think, since reforming, to be honest with you. We're not the best. We know that. We know our budget is amongst the lowest, second lowest, I think we're saying now in this division.
Yeah.
But we work hard and we make up for the lack of quality by our work ethic. And then when the chances come, set piece deliveries, huge difference. Take Seddon and Reeves out of this team, and we are probably really struggling. I know we'll come on to Jake Reeves, I'm sure, in a bit. The funny thing about it is that the second half, especially, I didn't celebrate the third goal, by the way. Yeah, and I'll tell you for why I didn't, is because I was laughing to myself because we got this free kick. We got a free kick, and in such a position, it was such a daft foul to give away. It was a
Yeah.
really stupid foul to give away from their point of view. And I was just like, we're going to score from this. I just knew. Do you know what I mean? I just knew. So when we put it in and Johnson does it, and I just sort of shrugged my shoulders and went, yeah, I knew that was going to happen. It's just one of those strange sort of things. I can see why Huddersfield fans would be upset because second half, the second goal we get, again, straight from kickoff. We're not getting in their half, basically, at all in the second half. But obviously, they equalise. So that gives us an opportunity from the kickoff to get the ball forward straight
Yeah.
away. They give away a really, again, crazy free kick to give away, going for a bundling Marcus Brown over for a header when he didn't need to. And then Goodman does what Goodman does, and we'll come on to that as well. And then the third goal, overplaying at the back, they gift us a throw in by just passing a really poor pass, goes straight out of play, just a square pass, and that gets us forward. Otherwise, Stu, we are not getting out of our half. And I don't. It's going to sound really harsh because he scored, but it just showed you what showed me is the most threatening we looked on Saturday was when Bugle and Sasu came on, because all of a sudden we had somebody that could hold the ball up in Bugle, won us a couple of corners, and Sasu had pace, which worried them in behind. Up until that point, the ball was just coming straight back at us because we had no way of getting out.
Yeah, and you raise a good point actually, because no doubt when you play Brown and Hippolyte and Orsi, and also the way we played it, we were playing a lot closer to. So normally we try and push out and play as high up, but there was no doubt we were low block, Orsi in the halfway line.
We
So
defended deep.
so you're not going to get out. So Huddersfield can squeeze up; they can have more possession of the ball. We're more looking for, and if I'm not wrong, was it Marcus Brown the foul for the third free kick, for the third goal?
No, Smith, I think.
Okay, but we look at Brown, Hippolyte, Orsi. They're players that can win free kicks. And I was looking at stats before. We're joint top with the amount of set plays we've scored from nine set play goals we got this season. So we're relying heavily on that. Seddon, great delivery. Reezy, great delivery. So yeah, I think when you're right with the subs, and remember at the beginning of the season when we were saying that we were effectively doing 60-30.
Yeah.
We had 2 on 2. Obviously, with Stevens being injured, we lost that.
Yeah.
And it's still mad that Stevens is still joint top goal scorer. So hopefully the quicker we get him back. But you're right, it did make a difference because all of a sudden there's a different. We could play the ball a bit longer. Omar wins his head, although I think the referee was a little bit. Yeah, I remember Barrack and Fenway. You could either get a referee that understood physical contact, or basically just had an alarm on Bale whenever he touched the defender.
Yeah.
So it really depends what referee you get with Omar. But Sasu playing up front, obviously, then went on to play against Cardiff up front. Amazing that we put a forward up front. But yeah, it would be nice. You just raised a really good point about the subs, because again, like I say, them 60-30s were so effective for us. Beginning of the season, we just haven't had the luxury, as we've said all before. The squad, unfortunately, is showing the lack of depth in it.
Yeah, but it was noticeable, the difference, as you say, Omar's physicality managed to, like I say, win us a corner right at the end, which we could have snatched a winner from because Goodman then drops the cross.
Oh, if anyone was going to, do you know what? I think, we talk about people being cancelled. I think Goodman would have been cancelled instantly by the Huddersfield fans. They got no love. They got no love for him, have they?
Not at all, and he was dropped for their game with Cardiff on the weekend as well. And I mean, the thing is, God love him, and he's a Huddersfield player now, so we shouldn't worry too much. But we have said, last season, I swear, a lot of the time, the way we set up was to mask a weakness, and that was And that was Goodman, because we saw it in the early weeks of last season, what could happen. And we saw it sporadically during the season where he cost us goals. And the free kick, I mean, there's two things with it. One, he makes the save from Seddon. Seddon does it absolutely fantastically well to get the ball um, right, pretty much in the corner. I don't think
Yeah,
he could have got it any more in the corner from the position he was in. And Goodman has to race across his goal. Goodman does really well actually to get across and block the first shot. He does, but then he palms it in the wrong direction and puts on plate for Orsi. But also his wall is, I don't think his wall is actually lined up properly. And
I
he
was going to
spent
say.
ages doing that. He spent ages lining it up.
Yeah, I was going to say to you, the wall wasn't great because actually Seddon didn't have to do much to get it around the outside of
Yeah,
that. So normally when you put a wall, you're doing one or two men covering that post, and then it's got to be something. Yeah, my thinking is the moment he gets to it, it's easier to push it round the post than it is to do what he did.
yeah.
Because if to bring it back in, it means your hand's got well over to it.
Mm,
I don't. There looks to be a lack of confidence in Goodman from the players as well.
yeah,
You only have to look at the reaction after the free kick of the defenders,
yeah.
as if like they are like, "What the hell are you doing?" I think, hey, look, I think Goodman is a good goalkeeper. I think yes, we did set up to protect him, but 24 clean sheets isn't luck, that side of it.
It's not.
But the
But
clean sheets are for the defence, not just
yeah,
the goalkeeper.
yeah.
Um, But you know what the most saddest thing was? Look, you can't help it. And I know when, I'd imagine Goodman was getting a bit of grief from Wimbledon fans, I'm sure, who stayed at a big club probably in that.
No, do you know what? Not at all, actually.
Really?
Do you know,
Oh,
he got a really warm reception when he came out for the second half.
good.
And again at the end of the game, I think you pointed out before that it was all our players that were speaking to him at full
Yeah,
time. Um, but no, he got a really good reception. No one gave him any grief
that's
at all, to be honest with you. But I also think there is a knowledge or an acknowledgement that he's in a bad place at the minute,
yeah,
and
yeah.
there's a bit of like, you did great for us, and we're not going to give you any grief because also
That's
we don't. Yeah,
yeah, that's good. That's good that we didn't do that. The most saddest thing I saw was him giving massive hugs to Bezo, Jono. Real like you can tell the players got a lot of love for him. Obviously, they got promoted with him in goal.
of
But
course. Yeah,
I think it just shows you how important it is for a player to pick the right club.
yeah.
And Bezo is not just a goalkeeping coach. Bezo is basically you're relying. He's gonna give you all the praise, all the love, all the support. And that doesn't feel like that's what Huddersfield is doing. I
Mm.
just felt really sad. It looked like a person that was going through a bit of a tough time playing. And Joe White, he probably just needed his own teammates to give him a bit of a reassurance. So that was quite sad, really, with that. But that's football, isn't it?
But then it brings us back to the team spirit, work ethic of our squad, and you say, we've got players that we are, to us, we're criticising or being critical of as at the moment. Orsi is one of those, but you never get any vibes at all about that from the playing staff. All seem very united, all together. And you know what? Same with Sasu. And it's paid off for them this week because Orsi has got his goal. He played a part in the opening goal as well. Don't worry, I haven't forgotten about that in the build up to the first goal. And then Sasu, as we'll speak about, getting his 4 goals the other week. Orsi, still, like I say, I still think it's a struggle to get Orsi into your starting 11 if I just when you've got Bugle and what will now be Sasu because Hackford's out for a little bit as well. So I just don't think there is a natural place for him. Poacher's instinct, absolutely, but we're not a team. We're not 90s Manchester United that are creating tons and tons of chances and just need someone to get the final touch to them. We don't create many chances at all, and that then makes Orsi it's a difficult role for him to play. What I found funny actually was the first goal, which he did well to control the ball coming down. We actually got quite a bit of slice of luck with that one. We were moving the ball way too slowly, and by the time we get it to Joe Lewis, we leave him with no option really, and he's trying to play a long ball, and the player challenging him actually the deflection takes the pace off the ball and makes it loop up straight to Orsi. So you know,
I felt
unfortunate.
Orsi played. I thought he played better than what he had, and it wasn't just a goal. That the goal is very similar to Blackpool away. He's
Yeah,
very much a player that and it's for all forward ships for the ball in. the first goal was what we need from him. We need the ball to stick and then to lay off. It was interesting because Seddon and Asimwe had swapped sides at that point,
Yeah,
which is what we did last season for a few times, didn't we?
yeah.
And the ever reliable Seddon, like my player of the year,
Yeah,
my player of the year by a mile at the moment. Comes up, slots the ball in, and it was just both those players have got League One experience, and you could tell with the goal, very good goal with it. I think Orsi is probably going to be better suited playing away from home than he is at home.
yeah, possibly, yeah.
Simply because of the way a team like Huddersfield, yes, they're going to dominate the ball, but you need to, when you get your possession, you need to keep it, or at least, what made me laugh is that Huddersfield would do 20 passes to get into the box and we would do 3.
Yeah.
The different styles were just so stark. But I think on Stevens, and I think hopefully Stevens should be back. If not, I hope he might get on the bench Saturday. Johnny Jackson did say before the Wigan game that he'd just gone back training with them. So you'd hope with 2 weeks full training, he might be on the bench. I think it's too much for him to be on the bench for Exeter game. But if we can just get Stevens back, and then if we get back to a 2-2 situation, Sassu's going to be the interesting one. It surely now has to be. It looks. I don't know if you listened to the Johnny Jackson interview after the Cardiff win, but it felt to me like saying, well, he's had to wait his time. He hasn't, and I think he was quite not cryptic, but I think he was saying like he hasn't taken his chances and he hasn't done the things he needs to do and stayed fit. It felt to me very much there was a Johnny Jackson reasoning why Sassu hasn't had taken a chance, and I think that might be a bit to do with Sassu if you read in between the lines. But now there's a challenge now, isn't there? Because we know technically we've just gained a new forward. And a bit of confidence. Sassu is a confidence player, no doubt about it. I don't know if you've seen the goals, but they were taken. They were natural striker finishers.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was in that competition that I don't actually think counts. But the great thing about it is that he scored 4 times, which can only be good for his confidence. And we can talk about the level of the team that Cardiff played. They'd obviously saved their first team for their league game on the weekend.
Yeah.
But you've got to just take the minutes and take the confidence from it. That's all I would say.
Yeah, I think they did have one defender who'd played for the Welsh national team. So I think they made about 9 changes. We went for a full back. Our back 5 was as strong as it's going to be with McDonnell, bringing Jennings back, which is really good for us in the competition. The competition is a shit competition, but actually the fact it allows you to bring your loans back is not a bad thing.
Do you know how people say you can't have 2 clubs? You can't be a 2-club wanker or whatever they call it. Kai Jennings and Junior Akeng and all these players, this competition, they can.
Yeah, no, but you know what? I think it works perfectly for us. In terms of the funny thing is, I just wanted to see the Sutton United fans in meltdown, thinking that we'd record him, but they hadn't recorded. They hadn't done that, and then they found out that Osman Foyo wasn't playing for them either, which I think is a big loss for Sutton. I think they really liked him as well. But yeah, so we got the forward issue now. All I'm hoping now is, and you're right, the competition it's a under 21 stroke reserve competition until it gets to the serious point, which is probably now really in the knockout stages.
Yeah.
But it did give us a chance. There's 2 games now we haven't lost. It's really important now that we gain some momentum. Because we got some Mansfield obviously Saturday. There's some big games coming up that we need to get through.
In that competition, I believe in the next round we are away to either Colchester United or the West Ham United under-21s.
Yes.
I don't know what to make of that.
Well, if we go to Colchester, it'll be a cold night in front of hardly anybody. Yeah. And if we go to West Ham, it'll be a cold night in front of nobody.
Yeah.
Well, it's weird, isn't it? Because I saw it and I thought, I've not been to West Ham, but I don't really want to go to London Stadium for an under-21 game. I did have yeah.
Would it be played there? This is what I haven't been able to clear up, because in the group stages, under-21 teams are always all their fixtures are away from home. That's the ruling. And I know that a few years ago, because this B team nonsense has been going on for a while now, we played Chelsea under-21s at Stamford Bridge.
That's correct. That's what I'm going on.
Yeah, but I don't know if they then changed. I'm not sure if that at that time if
Mhm.
the group stage rule was in place with under 21s or not. I can't remember.
I think
So
it's all. I think that's always been in. I can't recall us ever playing a Premier League under 21 team away in the groups. I can't recall us ever doing that.
fair enough.
So I think it's always been in. I know they change it. They change the rules all the time, don't they?
Yeah.
Do you remember the days when Luton got fined 10 grand for putting there?
No.
They'd rather take the fine than
But
doing
you know
that.
what? Doesn't that show you how long this nonsense has been going on for now? Because Luton went from doing exactly that and taking the fines for to getting to the Premier League and back out again
Yeah,
in the time this competition has been going.
I
Madness.
know. So I think that's the thing. But like I say, unless they've changed the rule, I'm not too sure.
Yeah.
Uh, but I'd like us. Hey, look, do you know what? That competition for all its rubbish about it, and I agree with it. We've got into sort of the last 16 and stuff quite a few times. They've just not progressed. It would be, we can use this competition as a springboard of our youngsters and game time because we don't have reserve football, which we've spoken about for ages. That is
Yeah.
crazy. So, hey, look, if we can do, but can you? I don't know how many people would be at the London Stadium for an under 21 game. I can't remember how many people were there for the Chelsea game. To be fair, I didn't go.
No, I didn't. Well, obviously I didn't go. No, I don't know how many if we were to play at the London State, I can't imagine we would we? They'd play it at somewhere else, surely. Like, surely.
Well, you have to ask. So they played their women's team play at Dagenham Redbridge, don't they?
Yeah, there we go.
That's always been their link, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Or is there the capability of switching the fixture? Um, I don't know. I've never read up on the rules on it recently. It was surprising that we got an under 21 team because hardly any under 21 teams got through into the groups into the actual knockout. I think West Ham are the only
I think
southern.
they're the only ones. Yeah.
Yeah, they're the only southern ones. So typical, we probably got the better under 21 team. So yeah, I'm not too sure, but I'm sure it's not into a new year now anyway, is it? And that's why a lot of teams take it more seriously because there's so many cup competitions, along with league fixtures in the first, well, up until New Year's Day, and then all of a sudden it sort of evens itself out a bit, doesn't it?
Hmm. The interesting thing for me about the other interesting thing about that Cardiff game was Sam Hutchinson did not feature.
Yeah,
But I feel like we were trolled at Huddersfield because after saying last week that we're like, Hutchinson's always on the bench, he never comes on. Are we sure he can actually play football anymore? And then Johnny Jackson, the very next game, was just like, do you know what? I'm going to put him on the pitch for the last 5 minutes just to shut you up. And then he came on, played 5 minutes at Huddersfield, and then went missing again. So I'm so confused as to what's going on.
well, it's like he was trolling us because he come on and it was like, how many people can you take out in the first like, you've got 5 minutes. Can you get a book in? Can you take some of the players out? Because he was, the Sam Hutchinson situation is just weird. There's no doubt. Obviously, he had heart trouble in it at Grimsby end of the season. You can only assume there's something else with that. Because to not even play in the Cardiff game was strange.
Mm,
To not be on the bench either.
yeah.
So it's just very quiet around that, isn't it? So you can only think that there are some still issues around it. But obviously the midfield area, we just don't have the opportunity to freshen it up too much. You still play Smith
Yeah.
on Tuesday night, so we can't, even with us bringing the loans back, we can't really rest the players that we need to. So yeah, that's a squad depth, as we know.
It's actually, it brings us on to so many points, and this is going to dart everywhere, as we tend to do sometimes. We jump from one place to the next. But centre midfield, obviously, we have to just again just mention Kai Jennings, if only because he had a noteworthy appearance in the FA Cup on the weekend, scored a goal, then made a poor error, which led to Shrewsbury going through. I think Shrewsbury have ended up with Wolves away in the third round.
Favourite for that.
At the moment, so you say that, Stu. We're recording this. I think Wolves are playing tonight, and I'm very conscious that they haven't won a game this season. I know I don't pay. Thing is, our finance director at work, he's a massive Wolves fan. Okay, lives in Basingstoke, but travels up to Molineux every home game, and so I keep abreast of Wolves and what they're doing. I know they haven't won a game so far this season in the league, but I also know that this evening they're playing Manchester United, guaranteed guaranteed that Wolves win this evening. But anyway, um, yeah, Kai Jennings again. Just everyone, just calm down, please. Just we said this last time. Just leave him be. Let him get the development that he needs. We said this for many, many years on the podcast. It was only crystallised to me this point by James Shea when he appeared, and he said the best thing that happened to his career was going to play for Harrow Borough because it actually taught him how to play men's football, and that's what you want Kai Jennings to experience now in non-league. That's what he's getting. Leave him be.
Yeah, exactly. I simply put it down to the Jack Curry experience we had. He's at Eastbourne Borough, got Player of the Year, played I think 90 minutes and nearly every game that season, was the main person. And he come back in the start of the season and made the left back position his own. So I think you just have to look at that. And Kai Jennings for a number of years has been well known in the academy of being a real player that they, there was times they didn't think he was going to sign pro terms. I think there was clubs interested in him. But he signed for us, and now it's about us giving him that exposure. He's done a lot of loan moves, and he's done loan moves being recalled. He's now at a good level at Sutton. It's interesting how Sutton play. So naturally, I watched it because it's interesting to see how Kai Jennings performs. He definitely is the main man in that team. A lot of things go through him. I think he looks really good. Got good touch on him, and good awareness of play. But we always say that our loan, we sometimes want to send our youngsters out so they make the mistakes when they're out on loan, or we take loan players in and they make the mistakes and we suffer because of their inexperience. And Kai Jennings scored a great corner and then a blind pass. So he went from hero to villain in no time at all. But he's learning and he's getting 90 minutes. Let him enjoy the season. The only way I record him is if we record him, then loan him out to a League Two team or higher placed in the National League. Yeah. But I think Sutton looked decent. Their form's really good, so I think Sutton probably will be a mid to playoff team this season anyway. Good hands, but he's 19. He isn't going to threaten Jake Reeves in that position as much as people are going on about Jake Reeves at the moment, which I think is crazy. He's had a bad couple of weeks, but crikey, Kai Jennings isn't going to come in and replace him. Kai Jennings is going to actually benefit from Jake Reeves playing with him probably next season, maybe. There's probably not a better coach on the pitch than having Jake Reeves alongside you.
19. Do you know 19 is the average age of a non-league midfielder during the Vietnam War? The other thing about Huddersfield, well, not Huddersfield as much, but League One, because you talked about Kai Jennings and Sutton and the way that Sutton play, and they like to pass it out from the back and play it through Jennings and the two deep lying midfielders and what have you. And we'd spoken about teams doing this, and sometimes just stick to the basics. And they've conceded that goal, not massively Jennings' fault in the sense of that's the way Sutton play, and that's what they were doing all game. Teams in non-league sometimes have to learn when not to do this. They can't all be prime Manchester City under Guardiola. And I think there are some stats that indicate that perhaps there are teams in our division that have learnt this. Huddersfield love playing it out, playing through, as you say, 20 passes, what we can do in 3, and are conceding goals like there's no tomorrow. They are letting in goals left, right, and centre. Huddersfield, for a team that wants to get promoted, it's just insane. But there are other teams at the top of the division who are a little bit more regimented, shall we say, but potentially and arguably going to end up being more successful.
Yeah. Funny thing with the Sutton game is they dominated Shrewsbury in that game and should have been further in the lead. So their start of play actually was really effective. However, when you're in the final minutes of a game and you just want to close it out, that's when you don't play in those areas.
Yeah.
Especially when I think they brought on Marquis, didn't they? He's been around for years. Just read it. I think the commentary said he'd been probably sitting on the bench, seeing that ball a number of times and thinking, I'm going to move into that. That's why sometimes your experience helps you. But there's moments in games when you just have to kill the game and knock it into the channels and do all the basics, no matter what you. And it's always about this philosophy and principles. And I think a lot of players, a lot of managers lost their principles this season because they're using a long throw. Everyone's got a long throw this season.
Yeah.
So I've got no doubt next season you might even get long ball teams coming back. It feels like it goes in phases.
Yeah.
And I don't think anyone who ever thought that Man City would have been using a long throw, but Pep Guardiola isn't a stupid. He knows you win a game. You got to win games. And everyone, it's funny, everyone has a long throw specialist now. Some are shit, some are not good at all. But everyone's using it. Everyone's using it. Even to the extent when the amount of teams now that are just doing a PSG, they called it now, just kicking the ball out into the corner. I think I saw one the other day that went out straight for a goal kick. It was so bad.
Yeah.
So I've got no doubt next season that I think the long ball's going to come back in and more percentage play. And then you'll see the non-league teams or something. Oh, yeah, we can play that way as well. Yeah, I think principles are great. You've just, when you watch, I don't know, when I watch the EFL goals, the amount of goals that result in breakdowns in their third, sometimes you sit there and think they haven't even had to work to score against you. And you've tried to play 20 passes to get out into the halfway line, and they've just nicked it off you and scored a goal. Yeah, it's crazy, but that's what we have at the moment. We have everyone wants to try and play this pretty lovely game, which I don't know about you, but I don't want to see a Wimbledon team play that way.
I would just point out a couple of years ago, I was very noticeable during what would have been the European Championships, where I was watching these games where teams would pass and pass and pass. I've said it on the podcast before, pass and pass and pass and pass and pass and pass. And then every single goal I seemed to see scored was just someone just lumping a ball in the box and seeing what happened. And you look at us, this is how we're scoring goals against Wigan, just lump a ball in the box. Against Huddersfield, set pieces, just get the ball in the box. It's not complicated, it's not difficult, it's basic.
No, football changes. Football changes. Although, do you know what I did see? I was watching something on YouTube and they showed Denmark when they won the European Championships before the halfback rule got changed. I never realised the time wasted that Schmeichel did. It was hilarious. I just thought to myself, could you imagine now, like Schmeichel being told you got 8 seconds? Which, by the way, right, the 8 seconds is starting to get a little bit longer than 8 seconds now.
Always, naturally. It was always going to happen. Always going to happen.
I hate these rules. But then again, I'm sure FIFA will create a new rule for the World Cup in their 70 odd games in the States.
Yeah, and one rule I might touch on in a moment. The last thing is, I can't believe we've got this far into the podcast already, Stu. And the last thing I have to say about Huddersfield, the game, is we have to mention Nathan Bishop because he made some very important saves for us, without which we would be getting nil points. So, yeah, we talked about Owen Goodman earlier. Obviously, comparisons being made with Nathan Bishop, but I think we all see the quality of Nathan Bishop, to be honest with you. And I think we are very happy with our goalkeeper this season and is regularly called into action.
Yeah, do you know what? It just feels like we bought a goalkeeper that's got experience. You can very much tell that he's played games. Yeah, a likable character, solid. Kicking is probably if you're going to say he's got somewhere we need to improve on his kicking. But as we say, goalkeepers, they're there to save the ball and do the basics. And I can't recall us this season ever saying that we don't feel confident. When you remember we used to go when we had like Nathan Trott and goalkeepers like that, and we'd be like, they come off their line, they just get bullied. They can't, even Owen Goodman at corners, we were frightened of him getting the corner. You don't feel that with him. So he has a lot of the attributes that a good level goalkeeper should have. So yeah, and we got him a 3-year deal. So he's ours. You can't take him. Well, you can if you want.
Yeah, he's still got that. Probably can only move diagonally, but we'll get past that. Right. Talking about his kicking, do you know there's somebody I'd like to give a good kicking to? And I have to preface this. This is obviously a joke for. What have I done, Stu? Clear joke. I am not threatening physical violence against this person, although I have a feeling that if I was genuinely, a lot of people listening would have no problem with me saying this. Malvin Kamara, who appeared in the Huddersfield Town programme. What was this about? What has gone on here? Well, first of all, I have to say thank you, Huddersfield, for actually having a programme, because, not all away teams do anymore. Reading, thank you. But yeah, he talks absolute nonsense and starts having a go at the fans for what happened with the move to Milton Keynes. Malvin Kamara, you are an idiot and you should be banned from life. So there we go. I don't think I need to say any more than that.
I got really confused, by the way, because I actually thought when I saw the Twitter, I thought it was an old article that someone had sort of come across.
Oh, I see.
I didn't actually realise it was in the Huddersfield. You have to wonder, but the Huddersfield programme editors, what have they? I don't get it. Look, do you know what? They haven't got to arse lick us and all the fan owned stuff. They haven't got to do that. But that is just lazy. Within, I could literally fact check it within a couple of seconds and worked out that our average attendance in the first season back in League One was over 7,000. So if I can fact check that when he's saying that we deserted them and we didn't get no more than 2,000, it's a complete lie. So why do they not think? You have to wonder. I believe there was an apology or something in their Cardiff program, we believe. But yeah, silly.
Well, I think what's happened here is that the article was written by somebody called Zach Armitage. I believe he works in toilets. And he is somebody that does not work for Huddersfield Town, as far as I'm aware. He is just a freelance journalist, primarily, it seems, with perhaps Tranmere Rovers, or he does things for various clubs. Okay, so his article is, well, maybe he does do a bit more for Huddersfield. Maybe he is at Huddersfield now. Who knows? But anyway, the preceding page in the programme, obviously written by somebody that is fully employed by Huddersfield, and it talks about the history of Wimbledon and AFC Wimbledon and talks about what happened in 2002 properly. Whereas, I mean, it says here quite clearly, famously formed in the summer of 2002. And then on the very next page, Malvin Kamara, they say, used to play for Wimbledon in 2003. So already you see what you've done there. They're inconsistent. So I think they just had a bit of a communication breakdown between various people that article got greenlit, especially as the photo of Malvin Kamara playing for Wimbledon, in inverted commas, was when they were sponsored by Go MK, which happened immediately in 2002, if you remember. So, yeah.
Bless them. Oh, well, they'll be visiting us soon. We can, I'm sure we can chuck them into our museum and just let them know what do you know what? It's not even holding Huddersfield Town responsible for that. It's just a silly thing for them for their program editor or anything to do, and I hope they learn from it.
Indeed. I think that pretty much sums up everything for Huddersfield, I think, for the time being, Stu. Obviously, then the following week we had only a couple of games on Saturday because of the FA Cup, and Huddersfield lost again, conceded 3 goals again away at Cardiff, and as we said, without Owen Goodman in goal. So whatever will be Huddersfield. Yeah. But at the moment, they have to tighten up massively defensively because they've got goals in their team. And sorry, there was one other thing. Alfie Sodding May. Does he have it in his contract that he has to score against Wimbledon every time he plays against us? Swear to God. Of course it was Alfie May who scored. But anyway.
Yeah, I was just going to say, there was an interesting stat that I saw, wasn't there, with Huddersfield in terms of the amount of goals. So away goals, they conceded 18 away goals. We conceded 18 as well.
Yeah, but we're not spending £75 million on wages.
No, but, in terms of when you look at our form, and that's what I was going to say to you, if we look at the current 8 games, the previous 8 games that have just gone, versus the 8 games before that period, we're about 10% down on points. Top 4 teams are all down about 20%, 30% on points. And actually, we've got the same amount of points from home as we have away. The 13, and in terms of the away league, we sit second in terms of points. Sorry, no, goals for. I apologise.
I was going to say, blimey.
So I think the key thing is now is just for us not to overreact. We lost a few games. Obviously, we lost the cup game, but it's just hoping now. Hopefully, we're starting with Exeter's game that we can just get ourselves. It doesn't have to be a winning streak. Just not lose, pick up points as you go along. Still sitting healthily in the league. So it's not drastic, and we've still got a top goal scorer to come back in.
Happy days, and we will talk more about the Exeter game very shortly. Before we do that, though, Stu, should we have to finish off all this talk with various things Cardiff and Huddersfield related? Should we have a game of Richard Osman Foyo's House of Games?
Of course, I can't wait.
I'm not sure if this is the name of the game, or even if it's a game in Richard Osman's House of Games. I'm not sure. I think it used to be a mock of the week, but we're going to go with it. We're going to call this What is the Question? I'm going to give you the answer to a question. You have to tell me what the question is. All right?
Okay.
See what you come up with. The first answer is, I'll go with this one to begin with, the 25th of February, 2012. This is why we should record this sometimes for the video, for the in your face.
Well, 2012 would have been when we were in the Football League. The day, I don't know.
We caught the train.
It's obviously something to do with, I don't know, the day we scored at Blackburn. I have no idea.
Do you know what? The day we caught the train actually was completely accidental, but it was actually a somewhat cryptic clue to the answer to this one. Because if you think of Football League teams and trains, who do you think of? Railwaymen, perhaps.
Oh, the crew people.
Yes, the crew people. 20th of February 2012, we drew 3-3 away at Crewe Alexandra. And that was the last time before the Huddersfield the other week that we drew 3-3 away from home
It's
in
topical.
the league. There you go. I think
Isn't
Christian
that
Jolly
when?
might have scored a last minute equaliser.
Yes. And we've had a few. We've had a few decent draws at the crew, even on our Premiership times, wasn't it, or League One Championship times.
But didn't we smash them? We drew 3-3 with them at Selhurst Park. You're right, we did. We
Yeah,
smashed them 4-0 at Gretsy Road, but
yeah, but wasn't it the Harley?
yeah,
Oh,
it made his debut, yeah, John Harley. Yeah.
was that a free? Was there free in that game? Was it?
We won 4-0.
That's close, wasn't it? Anyway, we scored lots of goals against Crew.
We did score lots of goals against Crewe. I think we played them 4 times in the second tier for those couple of seasons. And I think in those 4 times we scored 4, 8, 11, 13 goals, which is pretty good.
Crew is a great one, right? Because you get the train and you're like, stop, that'll do, where's the stay here? And it keeps going, and it keeps going. You're like, I've got to walk back this way. Just why do train stations, right? Let's just not do a train station right outside the way. The same with Chelsea in the old days. Chelsea, you'd go past it in the underground, keep going, keep going, keep going. Just stop there. That'll do. Thank you.
It's just bad planning, isn't it?
Just don't take much, does it? Train right outside the away end, go in on the way out, straight onto the train, out. The transport police would love that situation.
Stu, you are going to love Luton in a few years' time. You are absolutely going to love them, right? Because I think they could probably just build up direct from the platform straight into the away end if they wanted to. So close.
Call it a platform end. It's
Oh,
easy.
they could do. Yeah, they could do.
Well, they'd probably be sponsored by the train station, wouldn't it? Do you know what I mean? Because everything's, as I
Yeah.
said to you, the Boreham Wood new name for their grounds. Like, what the hell? Yeah.
Don't get me started. The platform end at Luton, yes, that could be sponsored by a shoe company, perhaps. Right, next question, 500 and oh, next answer, sorry, 518.
The record appearances for a Wimbledon player.
That's good, but I think it's going to be a few hundred off that one. No, 518 is the sum of the Cardiff City squad numbers for the team that finished the game last Tuesday, including such numbers as 66 and 70.
But the game that didn't count.
The game that didn't count, no, against their what was literally an under 16 team or members of it.
Well, they did have a 15. They did have a 15-year-old.
Yeah.
And was marked by Joe Lewis, who's probably like double the age. It's like, all right, son.
I mean, he would literally have been in school the next morning. Madness. Yeah, 518. Crazy. Okay, what about this one? Last one. 8,763.
Would be our record attendance at Plough Lane.
Oh, do you know what? It's good. And do you know what? It might be, but I don't know. I shall double check and see
Not
if it
far
is.
off that.
It's going to be roughly that. It's not going to be far off that at all. But no, actually, would you believe, Stu, this is the increase in the attendance at Huddersfield, the difference between the attendances at Huddersfield for our last 2 fixtures there. So last week in the third tier, 16,355 was the attendance. When we played there in the second tier in 2000, the attendance was 7,592.
Was it really?
So
wow.
the difference, it's over double in that span.
Because when I went in the cup game,
Right.
it was one of their. I think it was a really new ground. Like, I don't think it'd been over a few. I always thought there was more fans than that, and there might have been in the cup game. I'm not sure, but
I'm sure in the cup game it would have been, yeah. But the midweek league game we played, yeah, it was.
It's lovely scenery. You're right. It's lovely scenery. It reminds me of Blackburn in a way. Trees in the background. Blackburn, you can see the locals coming over the hills into the grounds. I'm sure you can probably see them leaving now when their pitch has been waterlogged for the second time in the season. What is that all about? How can you lose 2 games to waterlogged pitch during the game?
During the game, that were winning both of them, weren't they?
Obviously, the owners are spending so much time with the chicken suppliers. They should be looking at the pitch. Chickens on the pitch.
Down with chickens is what I see on that one.
That is a club waiting to be in trouble.
Well, yeah, you say this, but they've been down to the third tier already, and they've made their way back up. And yeah, they just seem to be hovering in that second tier, along with many other teams like
Didn't,
Preston and Bristol City and people like that.
didn't Kwesi Appiah score against
He did. He
Blackburn?
scored the winner at Ewood Park. He
See,
did.
that's enough for you to think about quitting.
Do you know what? One of the greatest saves I've seen by a Wimbledon goalkeeper. Everyone talks about Ramsdale away at Luton, but George Long with the save towards the end of that Blackburn game. David Seaman against Sheffield United FA Cup semi-final esque. Don't know how he got down to it. I think Bradley Dack might have been the player that was playing for Blackburn at the time, not Blackpool. That's two completely different people.
Yeah, so many good goalkeepers we've had, and George Long is one that's forgotten quite a bit. He's a number two, isn't he? I think, you know what, the one that makes me laugh is Tom King is like reserve goalkeeper at Everton.
Oh, wow. How'd that happen?
I don't know. He's obviously got to be decent, but you just sit there and think there are goalkeepers that make careers out of being reserve, basically training ground goalkeepers.
Yeah.
Good luck to Tom King,
Hmm.
who I thought was an absolute fruitcake when he was at our place. But goalkeepers probably have to be.
I think it comes with the territory when you're a goalkeeper, doesn't it? So there we go. Exeter City, Tuesday night. Let's run through this then, Stu. Gary Caldwell is the manager at Exeter, and he's been in charge at Exeter not too shorter a time than Johnny Jackson, if that makes sense. I think October 2022, so a few months after Johnny Jackson was appointed with us. And in that time, Exeter have stayed in the third tier, but they are struggling now. We know about their financial struggles. They are 20th. They are just 1 point above the relegation zone. They do not score goals either. They've only scored 16 goals, I think, in 17 games this season. So they're averaging fewer than a goal a game. And actually, they scored 3 against Blackpool, I think, and 4 against Peterborough. So that's 7 goals in 2 of those games. So goals do not come easy for them. And then again, then what happens on the weekend? They go and smash Wycombe 4-0 in the FA Cup and get a plum tie in the third round away at Manchester City. They've lost 10 of their 17 games so far this season. They actually won 3 of their first 6, but they have only won 2 of their last 11 in the league. Their top scorer, Josh McGuinness, with 6 goals, has not scored since September. We are similarly only 1 win in 6 in the league. Therefore, Stu, I have to say that this game has got draw written all over it.
Yeah, I think draw or win to us. Exeter don't score many goals at home. And you say they've got a better away record than they have at home. And you probably argue we've got a better away record than we have home. So it's probably that typical teams hitting them on the break. Yeah. Exeter's always a decent game. It's always midweek, it seems to be their place. But it's quite mild weather, so for those travelling down, I don't think it'll be too bad. But I would be disappointed if we don't come away with at least a point.
Is there any chance whatsoever, because we have done in the past, that we play in blue at Exeter? It'd be nice, but I am not holding out much hope. I will point out, actually, though, that the green and black, the fluorescent zebra, we are unbeaten in league games this season. So
the fluorescent zebra, the green and black.
Yeah, the fluorescent zebra. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a nice kit. It's a nice kit, but yeah, it would be nice to play in the blue home kit. But I don't normally do it. I'm trying to think. We normally actually no, I'd lie, but we did play. I remember many years ago we did play in a green kit at Exeter because I was with Rocket and Trev on that day with the kit, and I remember we put it into Exeter had the smallest dressing rooms ever, and that was time Bayo was playing. Because I remember Bayo had a lime green boots with the green kit.
Right, nice.
Looked like a giant bogey. And to be fair, he was the only person that fitted in that change room. It was a really small change room.
We have to clarify what you mean by that. In that there was only enough space for Bezo and nobody else. Not that he was the only player that could fit in it because everyone else couldn't. If that, because I'm sure that wouldn't. I'm sure that's counterintuitive. Surely.
Just a really small. It's on. So where their away end. If you're in your away end, it's to the left hand side. It was over there, and
as you're looking at the pitch, or as you're,
and it was literally a corridor that was small as anything, and it is a tight fit. Exeter's ground. If you again, another train station that should have a platform right outside the away end.
It pretty much does, doesn't it? Exeter St James's is pretty much on the
Yeah,
doorstep, isn't
you
it?
still got to walk more than what you need to be. Doesn't
I
feel.
mean, I'm trying to think of other stadiums. Millwall, is that close enough?
Yeah, Millwall just don't. Yeah, Millwall's just. Oh. Millwall is just the funniest station ever when you've literally got metal gates literally taking you in through the away end and the most nervous wait around the corner. Yeah. Millwall's just an experience, isn't it, to be fair?
That's one word for it,
Um,
certainly.
yeah, I just feel train stations, yeah, again, it's just one of those you think, yeah, it could be a bit closer. But that's just because I'm getting old.
I'm trying to think of any that are really. There are some I remember. Yeah, no, I have to wrap my
Well,
brains now. There are
the
some that are
best
really
one,
close.
the best one was Highbury.
Well, yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Best one was Highbury. Still miss. Do you know what? The kids nowadays, right? The Emirates I've not been to, but I look in it looks amazing. It's such a shame they never had the experience of going to Highbury.
Hmm.
What a great stadium that was.
Stu, you're getting nostalgic for the old days. Can you stop stealing my gimmick, please? This is what I'm here for. I'm meant to talk about how things were better in the old days, which actually brings us nicely on. So very quickly, last thing I want to mention is an article in this month's, I assume it's this month's, When Saturday Comes magazine by a man called, and don't laugh at this, Roger Tipford. And why are you laughing at that? There's nothing funny about that whatsoever. Like,
It's when you have a goalkeeper called Tickle. It's like, oh, come on. Corners, I'll be like, literally, I'll be having a bit of a laugh with him.
he has really, really long elastic arms.
Yeah.
But this article is talking about the rise in the number of substitutions allowed in football.
Not
And
enough.
I am, I'm not going to go back to the 60s where he details the fact that even allowing one sub was revolutionary at the time because they
Yeah.
FA were against doing it. They felt it was unfair. And now it's just got to ridiculous proportions. And we all know it's going to carry on until rolling subs or 11 subs or whatever. It's inevitable it's going to happen. But he makes the point. Part of my issue with modern day football is something that he sums up quite nicely. And it's the fact that it's, well, he says it makes managers more powerful and the richer clubs more secure, which is absolutely fine. But it's like we've taken away the fun element with it. Okay, because as he points out, there's jeopardy involved in only being allowed few subs. We've said this many times. Don't see goalkeepers now getting injured and outfield players having to go in goal. There's no need for it because substitutions are there. You've got enough subs to cover up and things like that, right? We've taken these elements away, that extra element of jeopardy out of the game. And it says, he sums it up very nicely in this final sentence because he says, the um, the five sub rule now makes the game more impersonal, more of a business process rather than a human, fallible, and even romantic event. And it is quite true. It's all geared towards managers and being tactically proficient and everything being exactly as managers want them to be. And it takes away that romantic element, as he says, that anything could happen element. And also, it it's a broader point, Stu, but people can't deal with hardship anymore. And managers going, oh, I'm only allowed two subs and I get injuries and I can't cope and things like that. Well, you have to deal with it. But we don't say that. We don't say just get on and deal with it. That's life. We say, oh, no, we're going to accommodate you and make sure you have no hardship to face whatsoever by giving you basically everything you want. And it just ruined it has spoiled it for me, I must admit. Like when you see, like I said to you before, half the outfield players in a game are different at the end than they are at the start. And that just turns it into a completely different sport. And I think romantic is absolutely the word. I think football at the top level and international level, the romance, unfortunately, has gone.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that article. I think I think it's changed watching football. I think the game it's a game within a game. So you literally
Mm,
you have a game up to 60 minutes, and then you have a different game because you can have as many as 10 different players
yeah.
on the pitch. I think you're right. I still remember when the second sub was introduced and the sub goalkeeper was allowed, and those were all revolutionary. But I think what I probably would say is if you remember when the free subs, when you were allowed to do free subs, um, people making triple substitution was seen as revolutionary.
Yeah.
Like, wow, they've gone for it. They put all the free subs on. Whereas now, that's norm.
Yeah.
If you only have one sub now, I even get to a stage where I think, so I just think I probably adapt a bit more than what you want to with football changes. But I even get to a stage now where I'm like, why are you just doing one sub? Just chuck three on. So I'm probably more guilty of it than, sort of
Yeah,
side of it. But yeah, hey, look, do you know what? It's weird. Football evolves. Hey, look, it only changed with COVID. It's like, in a way, the football teams took the opportunity of COVID
yeah,
as much as the UEFA took the opportunity with when the Super League was failed
yeah.
and brought it in anyway. It's like sometimes they just bring these things in.
They take advantage of situations, as you say, and I notice that there is more crazy European fixtures this week as well,
But you
which,
know what? I just got to say, I think we would have probably beaten Huddersfield if it had only been one sub each.
that's interesting.
Because remember what we said. Remember what we said. The actual squad depth makes
Yeah.
massive difference when it didn't used to. Would they have brought Alfie May on?
Yeah.
Um,
Well, would they have started him because that was the rule? Do you know what I mean? It might have had all sorts of other knock-on effects. If we couldn't have made three subs, would we have started with Orsi? Or would we have thought, no, we're better off starting? You don't know. It
yeah.
change. It doesn't. It change the. It.
Oh, it massively does. It
it
massively does.
I'm not gonna. People might argue differently, but it just makes things so much easier for managers, I think,
Yes.
because it
Yeah.
means you can absolutely mess everything up, but you still make so many changes that you can rescue it. And as he says, it supports the teams with bigger resources.
Yeah. And let's not forget, you got a concussion sub as well.
Yes, so it could. You could. Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sure they get to a day with the old rugby blood injuries where they just get some tomato ketchup and just fake blood.
Yes, I know football's such a horrible sport, and then yet you had rugby with the ketchup scandal, and cricket with the sandpaper, and horse racing with all the dead animals. I mean, like football gets a bad rep, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, and actually, George, just before we wrap up, obviously, commiserations to the Charlton community. The Saudi, their fan, the Headphones Norm, I believe his name was, a really well-known person at the Valley who unfortunately passed away during the game at the Valley on Saturday.
And John Lilliot as well passed away. It was
Yes,
announced today.
a name from the past, isn't it? But
Mm.
it's really sad when you go to football and you don't come home. And he looks like he was really well known, even to the effect, like I say, the fact that he got the name of Headphones Norm. I love that. That is so British, isn't it?
It is wonderfully British stew, yes. I can only agree wholeheartedly with that one. And yeah, more of that. That's proper for me, that's proper football and what football's about, isn't it? It's the characters and it's the people.
It is. We've all seen him. I think, even to the extent, I've got a few Charlton fans I know on Twitter, and they actually want everyone to wear headphones. Um, but do you remember the days when you just used to get people listening to their transition? What are they called? The radios on their transistor radios.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
You
yes.
literally have them sitting in the. This is the day before phones, which is sure obviously you can't remember, Nick. They used to listen, headphones on, and just listening to the other games. Yeah, it's mad, isn't it?
Very strange you should mention that actually for reasons I saw on social media, the old Sunderland documentary. Do you remember we watched that back on here many years ago? And Sunderland having to stay up on the last day at
Yeah.
Selhurst Park, and yeah, people listening, trying to get scores, as you said, exactly that. Radio in the ground, trying to get the latest, and but again, to what people, I don't think people realise this is that that was a way of bringing people together in a way that we're not brought together anymore because everyone's in their own little world on their own little device. And
We said before, didn't we, when we used to do coach journeys and we didn't know any of the scores
but you
until
know what?
the
Beautiful.
sports book come on, and then it was like you had another experience of everyone going, "Oh, what about that result?" And
Yeah,
yeah, I know. Well, now you can just look at a live league table.
yeah. I know it's not the same. It's not the same.
Sometimes,
Technology has destroyed us.
sometimes progression is good. Sometimes, yeah, you sometimes feel for the younger fans that they've never experienced that. But hey, look, that's football evolves, doesn't it? Yeah. Who would have thought we'd ever have electronic advertising boards? Who would
You
ever
beat
thought
me
that?
to you beat me to it, Stu. Those fucking things at Huddersfield, for fuck's sake. Like they've got them on the upper tier, like on that bit there, and they're all
Yeah.
flashing and bright and everything like that. I'm just like, oh my, no wonder children cannot sit still for more than 5 minutes anymore
But that, do you
because
know that?
it's
Do you
constant.
Do you know we played Gillingham in the league last year, and they had a floodlight value for a little while, and
Oh yeah.
and their electronic advertising was on what actually kept the light in the stadium.
Yeah, well,
And
that's just.
they had it in the middle bit of the tier and the bottom bit as well.
Oh, geez,
We haven't got
honestly.
that yet. I'm wondering when that's going to come in.
Oh my God. It's like we are already living in dystopia. Like people watching the World Cup draw the other day saying, I fear for the future of football. I was like, don't fear for the future of football, fear for the present of football. We already live in it. We're already living in this dystopia of we don't need human beings anymore. You can go to your self checkout. You don't have to interact with anyone. You can get your AI to do your job for you, and you have screens everywhere. Like I'm living in where was Judge Dredd set all those years ago? Whatever the world he lived in, we're living in that dystopia, soon to be Gotham City, and it's
But you know
so
what?
obvious. I don't know why people don't see it.
But you know what? We have the biggest opportunity to have the biggest electronic scoreboard or electronic advertising on the big wall behind the safe standing, behind the Paul train.
Oh
We
God,
could have that. But you know what I did notice? Newport, right? Newport have a big screen behind their goal,
right.
right? I saw one of the highlights, and there was actually an advert playing on that whilst the game was going on. We're
Oh
missing,
yeah, yeah,
we're missing a
yeah,
trick.
yeah. Well, no, it's just sort of.
Do you know what we
Stu,
should do,
our scoreboard can't even get the right badge.
right? Well, it's got to be right eventually. Uh, but do you know what we should do? We should do a Twitter thing or something. Thinking like in the next, what will football look like in 5 years? What innovations will come up? What
Do
will
you know?
happen?
Do you know what it will be? Be like we're already seeing driverless cars in parts of the world already. So they're just going to get robots playing football because they'll be like, oh, why should humans suffer the hardship of potentially being injured? We'll just get a robot. They don't feel pain.
Do you know what I see? I see orders from your phone. You can go and order your phone, and a drone will come out of the sky and deliver it to your seat.
That's what football will become. But drones will be used to deliver set pieces.
Then the problem you might have is that the drone fails, drops from a height, hits someone on the head, game gets abandoned.
That's exactly what would happen.
Or someone literally just sabotages it and literally the drones just crash everywhere. Anyway, but that'd be just imagine what it'd be in 5 years' time. What because you think what would 5 years ago you just said we had 3 subs max. Now everyone could be on the bench. Yeah, football. It's all changing.
Oh well. On that rather random note, we shall say I don't know when we'll be back. We've got Exeter, obviously updates from the game with Exeter will be on Nazi Twitter at 9YRS Podcast. And then, Stu, just to further my exasperation with the end of days, we've got a stupid fucking 12:30 kickoff on Saturday against Players Field Town. So yeah, they're going to get me out of bed early for that one for a stupid fucking game that no one's ever going to fucking watch on TV. Because who wants to watch Wimbledon versus Mansfield?
Yeah, don't forget, last time we played Mansfield, they got rather upset with us, didn't they? And their assistant manager tried to pick a fight with the. Do you remember? Their assistant manager jumped into the crowd.
I don't remember this at all.
Do you know?
No.
I do, because I was in a tunnel after it. He got chucked straight onto the coach.
Did we beat
Nigel,
was it Ronan Curtis? Did he not score like a
the
late
late
winner?
one, Nigel Clough wasn't happy.
Right.
But yeah,
Okay.
their assistant manager got went in behind where Johnny Jackson sits and
Oh
had to be
yeah.
pulled away.
This is bringing a yeah.
Yeah. So yeah,
Oh.
Mansfield are one of those teams that we've probably played so many times.
Yeah. I
So
mean, it's worth actually going back to Field Mill though, just because they've got that stand finally open again down the side. So it's proper.
yeah.
It's no longer a three stand side as opposed to three
Mansfield is
stand stadium.
no disrespect to anyone who lives in Mansfield, but it's a place that when you go there, you value when you come home.
Yeah, Mansfield, Newport, worst places I've ever been to, hands down. Not even Bletchley, sorry, Bletchley's worse, but they're up there, they're in the running. So no disrespect. No wonder, yeah, Mansfield is not a place. It's not a tourist trap, is it?
Oh, it's attraction.
No, it really isn't.
Come and see the lights.
Yeah, there you go. See, this is why I say when people talk about Luton, Luton always gets the bad rep. I'm thinking, mm, there are worse places. Believe me, we've been there. Anyway, right. Well, that's it for this week. Thank you, Stu, for joining me.
Thank you.
Thank you everyone for putting up with us to this point. Well done for getting through. You survived. I think you should win you should be awarded a medal like for getting through to this point
It's
of the show this week. But anyway, thank you very much for listening. Alexa Bliss, bang first, milk last. 2 + 2 = 4, and we shall speak to you again sometime in the future.